morning, lovely people. It's Vlogmas day 3. It's kind of dim in here right now. I only have the Christmas tree lights on, and it's about 7:30 in the morning and not very light out, so I did just open the blinds. It's pretty cloudy, and it's pretty cold out there. It's 1 degree. Just poked my nose out to get a view of the snow on the mountains across the valley, and it was pretty crispy. So I have to be at work for 10, which means I need to aim to be ready by 9:15. So I'm going to have to get going. I'd much rather spend some quality time with my cross stitch or my crochet, but that will have to wait for later. Hello, I'm back. It's now about 3:45 in the afternoon. I had a 4-hour shift at work. Excuse the noise, I need to get some potatoes out of the bag. And it was pretty straightforward. Boss asked me to tidy up the kids' Christmas craft aisle. So that took most of the time, if you count the fact that I got a lot of interruptions and also had to be relief on cash as well. So yeah, that was a very quick shift. One thing about being busy, the time goes by real fast. Tonight I'm only cooking for 3 of us because 2 of the kids are out of town working together. So I'm making a kind of a shepherd's pie thing. I'm also making myself a Yorkshire tea to keep me going. Just brewing it up right now. Give me something to slurp on while I'm chopping vegetables. I am soaking some soy curls. Don't look very appetizing, do they? But they're just purely soy. That's the only thing that's in them. There's no artificial additives or colouring or anything in there. And they just add a bit of chewy, proteiny substance to the bottom of the shepherd's pie, along with some mushrooms and carrots, and then obviously topping them with some mashed potato. So I just need to go and grab myself a knife because I realise I haven't got one out of the drawer yet. Yeah, the 2 boys who have gone out of town are going to be back Friday. Today's Tuesday. Right, a couple of nights away. I don't usually feed the oldest. He usually feeds himself. He has basic cooking and refrigerating abilities downstairs. Occasionally he'll come up and join us. Last night he was up for the tortilla wraps that we had, and both boys were building a whole ton of sandwiches to keep them going throughout today. So yeah, work went well. Now that guy I was telling you about yesterday, who I spent like the last 20 minutes of my shift scanning in his products at the cash. After I had filmed that little bit in my car when I was drinking my coffee from my flask, I saw him crossing the parking lot with some bags, and I thought, I hope he paid for those, because unfortunately it's all too common for people who come into our store to leave without paying for their things. And I did hear today that there was one person yesterday who did grab some red shopping bags that had product in them and walked out of the store with them. But she told me they were online orders. So that means that someone's order that we had bagged up for her to pick up got stolen. So we will have had to redo it, I suppose. Just realised I put my potatoes in the wrong pan. Potatoes are supposed to be going in the pressure cooker, not my Dutch oven. The Dutch oven is going to be used for sauteing up my mushrooms and carrots and getting the filling ready. Oh, nearly did it again. True that you can't multitask, isn't it? Very, very true. Just chopping these roughly because the pressure cooker will do a good job on them. Favourite potato variety? Yukon Gold. Hands down, best potato for most things. Love them. They're good for roasting, they're good for oven fries, good for mashing. Awesome. The light's not super great, is it, here? The back of my scene here is lit up and my face is not. Oh well. I'm sure you can see me all right. So after I left work, I went to the bulk food shop and I have stocked up for fruitcake supplies. I'm so looking forward to making my first fruitcake of the season. I have bought sultanas, raisins, currants, apricots, dates, cranberries. I also got a bit of crystallized ginger because I think there might be some of that. If there isn't some of that in my recipe, I'll probably add it in anyway. And I also indulged in a few chocolate chips. I have this hankering to make something called Rocky Road. And it's a dessert or a bar that I have seen that I've never made before. But you basically mix up broken up cookies with, I think, chocolate and marshmallows. I have some vegan marshmallows in the cupboard that we haven't yet had in our hot chocolate. And what else? Some nuts. I think there's nuts in it as well. Sometimes there's peanuts in it. If you look online at Rocky Road refrigerator bars, there's all sorts of variations. I didn't buy peanuts. I always have walnuts in the house, so I'll use those. I saw one recipe that was made with Rice Krispies, but I like the idea of the one that has the crushed cookies in it. And so I have to make the cookies because I don't usually buy ready-made cookies. So at some point I will make cookies. I will mix them up, like bash them up with a rolling pin, get all my frustrations out on them, and then I'll mix them up with some chocolate chips and marshmallows and stuff like that. And yeah, hopefully it'll turn out. I mean, how could it taste bad? There's no way that could taste bad, is there? I'm being very careful with my chopping of my mushrooms because I don't have my glasses on. It's all blurry and I don't want to cut my finger off. So it's going to be a bit chunkier than it normally is. Never mind. It would have been rather nice to have done 3 little individual shepherd's pies today, but I don't have the right sort of dishes for that. I only have large baking dishes. So I'm making one and trying not to overfill the pan. All these years of being a mother to three boys and family of 5 has meant that I tend to make large amounts of food, and I don't like leftovers much personally. So I do not freeze things. If I freeze leftovers, they get forgotten about. Or what will happen is they'll sit in the fridge for a year and then I throw them out anyway. This is why I don't do that meal prep thing where, you know, some people will, on the weekend, they might meal prep for the entire week. I just can't imagine what the food is like by day 5. So I'd rather cook fresh every day. I'm going to have to turn my cooker hood on. Cooker hood, extractor fan, whatever you want to call it in your neck of the woods. I'm going to have to switch that on because it's going to get steamy in here in a minute. So I'm going to have to switch you off because you don't want to hear that thing buzzing away. What a great feeling. Come home, put on the pajamas, cook dinner, eat dinner, and then couch time with yarn. Isn't life great? Dinner was really good, actually. I thought to put some roasted chestnuts in there as well. And yeah, it all came together really nicely, seeing as I didn't use a recipe. I tend to cook without recipes. Even when I have a recipe, I usually ignore part of it and make my own changes to it. Anyway, I did a little bit of jigsaw puzzle. So I've put a few pieces in place. So I did that while the shepherd's pie was finishing off cooking. And then once we'd eaten, I picked up my crochet hook. So I am partway through this cowl now. The light isn't that great in here. They're daylight lamps, but you wouldn't think so. So I did a very messy foundation half double crochet start. It's not the prettiest. It came out quite loose along the edge in places. But hopefully no one will be looking at that when it's being worn. And the stitch is mostly half double crochet in the third loop. And you're working in turned rounds, so it's in the front third loop. And so that pushes the two top loops away from you when you're working. So it makes this nice ridge. So you work a few rounds and then you do some short rows. So you can see that this side here is only skinny. Obviously, when I finish it up, it will be sewn shut there. But that side is wider. And so this is where the short rows are growing out. You can see, yeah, you can kind of see the shaping there. And so this is what makes the cowl shaped so that it fits over the head and it's deeper at the back and then shallower at the front. So it fits the head really well. Simple idea, clever. And once I had agonized over the first little row when you have to do your sort of, what is it? You get to the end of the half doubles, then you have to do a single crochet and a slip stitch in the next unworked stitches. So it took me a short amount of head scratching to get that sorted. But now I'm on a roll. So I've got Vera on Netflix. And I'm going to carry on watching that. And I think next I'm going to pick up my cross stitch and do a few stitches on that. It's getting to the time of the day now when I need to get this edited and up on YouTube. So I'll just show you what I did on the cross stitching front today. It's actually starting to look like a top of a tree, isn't it? Where's the picture of the finished thing? Okay, I seem to have lost it. Ah. I thought I'd lost this, but all I am doing is using it as a way to keep track and keep my embroidery threads from getting tangled. But here's the little picture. And so I've done this little bit here, just the dark green part of this little bit here. So pretty good progress tonight. I've used up one strand of the dark green, or rather 2 strands, but one length to be more accurate. So Mr. Stitches and I have done our 15 minutes of yoga. I decided it was time I got back into yoga at the end of November, and I've been trying to remember to do at least 15 minutes a day. I'm not even bothering to follow a yoga video because I know so many poses. I just make it up as I go along. And it feels really good to be stretching again. I don't know why I got out of the habit. Why do we give up good habits? We should give up the bad habits, not the good habits. Anyway, that's going to be it for tonight. So I'll see you again tomorrow for Vlogmas Day 4.